Week 40 Day 1. Rhetoric is sometimes exaggerated of language sense at a time that requires tangible proposals. All he offers is unconscionable rhetoric sense rhetoric noun U1 speech or writing, which is intended to be effective and persuasive. How far the president will be able to translate his campaign rhetoric into action remains to be seen. I was swayed by her rhetoric into donating all my savings to the charity. To specialize the study of the ways of using language effectively. 3. Disapproving clever language, which sounds good but is not sincere or has no real meaning. In reply to the question, he just produced a lot of empty meaningless rhetoric. Rhetorical adjective describes speech or writing, which is intended to seem important or persuasive. Repetition, the tedious rhetorical device. Rhetorically, adverb. You want to know what courage is? He asked rhetorically. Rhetorician noun C1 formal. A person who is good at speaking in public. 2. Specialized. A person who teaches the skill of speaking and writing in an effective and persuasive way. Lucian was a famous Greek rhetorician. Sense clique small, exclusive group of people. Since it is not long before a young star has a clique around him, who sporadically get their names into the newspapers. Sense clique group noun C. Disapproving. A small group of people who spend their time together and do not welcome other people into that group. Our golf club is run by a very unfriendly clique of people. There's a clique at work that never talks, who never talk to anyone else. Cliquey, clique choir, cliqueist adjective. Also cliquish. Disapproving. I decided not to join the tennis club because I found it very cliquey, because new members were not made to feel welcome. Sense extol, praise highly. Sense youngsters scoff when their elders extol the halcyon days of long ago. Sense extol verb T formal, to praise something or someone highly. His book extolling the benefits of vegetarianism sold thousands of copies. She is forever extolling the virtues of her children. Mentor, counselor, coach, tutor. Sense amidst the adulation of the throng, the film star, in all humility, credited her mentor as the one most responsible. Sense mentor noun C formal. A person who gives another person help and advice over a period of time and often also teaches them how to do their job. Compare prod G. Facile, easily accomplished or attained. Sense the detective interrogated the adamant prisoner in such a facile way that he confessed after giving incontrovertible evidence. Facile adjective describes a remark or theory which is too simple and has not been thought about enough. A facile explanation. We must avoid facile recriminations about who is to blame. To live in a fool's paradise, to be happy without a real basis. Since he lived in a fool's paradise, while he sowed wild oats, but he soon had to pay the piper. A political show. There are few forms of entertainment more enjoyable than watching a glib politician run for office. Most politicians have prepared speeches dealing with the prevalent topics of the day. They can maintain a fervid flow of rhetoric for hours at a time. In each locality where he is to appear, the advance work is prepared by a clique of trustworthy aides. In preparation for the show, they have dispersed leaflets, put up posters, and sent out cars and trucks with loudspeakers to extol the erudite scholarly qualities of their candidate. Soon, the crowd gathers. Loyal party workers come forward to shake the hand of their mentor. Now, with the facile solutions to complex problems carefully memorized, the show is ready to begin. One moment facetious, the next moment profound, the candidate works to convince the incredulous among the voters. Null. Week 40 Day 2. Cant insincere or almost meaningless talk. Sense the diplomat was astute enough to see through the cant of the Machiavellian ambassador. Sense cant noun U1 statements on especially religious or moral subjects, which are not sincerely believed by the person making them. Shelley's friendship with Byron was rooted in their shared contempt for cant and hypocrisy. 2. Special words used by a particular group of people such as thieves, lawyers or priests, often in order to keep things secret. Umbrage, resentment, offense. Sense I was flabbergasted when he took umbrage at my whimsical remarks. Sense umbrage noun slightly formal. Take umbrage, to feel upset or annoyed, usually because you feel that someone has been rude or shown a lack of respect to you. You don't think she'll take umbrage if she isn't invited to the wedding, do you? Magnanimous, generous, noble. Sense a somber examination of those indigent families, bereft of hope, sunken in apathy, should motivate us to be more magnanimous in our attempts to improve their lot sense magnanimous adjective formal very kind and generous towards an enemy or someone you have defeated. Arsenal's manager was magnanimous in victory, and praised the losing team. Magnanimously adverb formal the best man won, he said, magnanimously conceding defeat. Magnanimity noun you formal vilify malign, slander sense we feel so sanctimonious, when we vilify the character of a felon sense vilify verb t formal, to say or write unpleasant things about someone or something, in order to cause other people to have a bad opinion of them. He was vilified by the press as a monster of perversity. Null vilification noun you formal elucidate, to make clearer sense the judge ordered the censor to elucidate his reasons for removing passages from the book in such a capricious manner sense elucidate verb I or t formal, to explain or make clear. I don't understand. You'll have to elucidate. The reasons for the change in weather conditions have been elucidated by several scientists. Elucidation noun you these figures need elucidation. The sum and substance the heart or substantial part sense the sum and substance of our Pyrrhic victory was that our hopes for a stable future had gone up in smoke. Getting a good look the television press interview is conducive to close scrutiny of a candidate. His public speeches may contain many cant phrases, but a sharp question by an astute reporter can destroy a clique-filled statement. The politician now will procrastinate delay in his answer. A new facet of his personality may be revealed by his demeanor bearing. Perhaps he will take umbrage at a suggestion that he favors the affluent. His record is searched for evidence that he has been equally magnanimous to the indigent. He accuses the reporter of attempting to vilify him. Is he being accused of turpitude in office? It is time to discreetly go on to another topic. The candidate wishes to praise the virtues of his program and record. The press wants to allude to things that keep him in the midst of controversy. They insist that he elucidate positions that the politician would rather leave in a nebulous state. Null week 40 day 3. Vapid uninteresting, dull sense as a concomitant to his belligerent and vituperative antipathy toward his government, he became an expatriate, but he found it a vapid life sense vapid adjective formal lacking intelligence or imagination. A vapid television program vapidity now knew the spiritual vapidity of Western materialism unwieldy bulky, difficult to handle sense Kyra was so disgruntled and pleased about having to move the unwieldy piano, she procrastinated 4 days sense unwieldy difficult to move sense adjective an unwieldy object is difficult to move or handle because it is heavy, large or a strange shape. A piano is a very unwieldy item to get down a flight of stairs sense unwieldy not effective adjective an unwieldy system is slow and not effective, usually because it is too big, badly organized or involves too many different organizations or people. One disadvantage for the bank is that its huge size over 15,000 staff makes it unwieldy and slow moving. Proximity nearness sense as the sign of an affluent family. He was often in proximity to opulence luxurious. Proximity noun formal the state of being near in space or time. The best thing about the location of the house is its proximity to the town center. Lassitude weariness, weakness sense after playing with his progeny in the enervating sun, he staggered back to his room, where he was overcome with lassitude sense lassitude noun formal physical or mental tiredness. Shareholders are blaming the company's problems on the lassitude of the managing director. Vitiate destroy the use or value sense the irrelevant evidence seemed to vitiate the prosecutor's case, and precluded a conviction sense vitiate verb t formal, to destroy or weaken something. He said that American military power should never again be vitiated by political concerns. On pins and needles to be on edge, jumpy sense he was on pins and needles, while he cooled his heels in the principal's office. Seeing is learning. While we are all cognizant of the importance of words to create certain impressions, gesture is relegated to a much lesser role. Gestures are an important concomitant to even the most vapid speech, enhancing it and giving the hearer something to look at while he listens. The value of seeing at the same time as listening was shown when a class at a university, unwieldy, because of its large size, was split up. One group was put into a room in close proximity to good loudspeakers. Every nuance of the lecturer's voice could be heard clearly. Because they had no person on whom to place their attention, they soon took on the appearance of extreme lassitude. Most students became lethargic, and rested their heads on their desks. The separation of visual and oral communication tended to vitiate the learning process. The listening group received grades lower than those received by those who could look at as well as hear the instructor. Week 40 Day 4. Augmenting large, increase. Since the parsimonious octogenarian sought to augment his wealth, by removing it from its cache and placing it in a bank. Since augment verb T formal, to increase the size or value of something by adding something to it, he would have to find work to augment his income. Augmentation noun C or U formal fatuous foolish, silly, inane. Since the new employee wanted to gain favor with his boss, and his obsequious desires led to the most fatuous behavior. Fatuous adjective formal stupid, not correct, or not carefully thought about, a fatuous idea. Remark fatuously adverb formal fatuousness noun U formal contort twist violently. Since the paroxysm of coughing served to contort her body until she could gain a respite. Pose, rest. Since contort verb I or T, to cause something to twist, or bend violently and unnaturally into a different shape or form, his face contorted with bitterness and rage. Contorted adjective contorted limbs branches contortion noun C or U facial bodily contortions contortionist noun C someone who can twist their body into shapes and positions that ordinary people cannot. Repertoire work that an artist is ready to perform. Since her virtuosity was demonstrated by the works she performed from her repertoire. Since repertoire noun C all the music or plays, etc., that you can do or perform or that you know. The Royal Shakespeare Company also have many modern plays in their repertoire. There is an extensive repertoire of music written for the flute. Imperceptible extremely slight or gradual. Since he had always appeared virile, so that the imperceptible decline toward senility went unnoticed until he succumbed, and began to use a cane. Since imperceptible adjective unable to be noticed, or felt because of being very slight, she heard a faint, almost imperceptible cry. Imperceptibly adverb gradually, almost imperceptibly, her condition had worsened. To have at one's fingertips, to have thorough knowledge, to have ready. Since he had at his fingertips an extensive repertoire. The hammy old days actors depend upon their ability to gesticulate almost as much as upon speech to obtain their desired histrionic effects. With them, gesture serves much more than merely to augment speech. When their communication is by gesture alone, it is called pantomime. In the early silent motion picture period, gestures were flamboyant. To show that he was distraught about the danger in which the heroine had been placed, the hero would go through the most fatuous actions. He would stagger, beat his breast, tear his hair, and contort his face into the most doleful appearance. There weren't many simple or restrained gestures in his repertoire. The heroine, to indicate her love, would fling her arms wide and ardently jump into her sweetheart's arms. It was only much later that actors became skilled enough to communicate with the audience through discreet gestures and almost imperceptible changes in facial expression that could transmit nuances of emotion. Null Week 40 Day 5. In Thailand, mum's the word in this country we take for granted our right to speak out about our elected officials in any way we wish, without fear of arrest or imprisonment. The most disrespectful language is allowed. While some may take umbrage at an insult against the president, our constitution protects that right. Now, consider the country of Thailand. That land in southeastern Asia is ruled by a king. What happens to an individual who fails to extol this monarch? There is a case of a person who joked that if he were king he could sleep late every day and drink wine in the afternoon. For this somewhat fatuous remark, he was sent to prison for 7 years. Or take the story of the woman who was hanging up the king's photograph. When the police asked her what she was doing, she replied, "I'm nailing it up there on my wall." She said it instead of the king's photograph, and for this imperceptibly alleged insult, she also was sent away for 7 years. While some U.S. citizens may vilify our leaders, in Thailand the less said the better. Null.